Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons, make sure to subscribe and let's get into it guys. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the F-15. Should it come to the game right now? Should it be added? Would it be OP or not? So let's talk a little bit about it. I already did some videos talking about performance a little bit and also the variants. I have videos on the loadouts, how it would be the F-15. And a lot of people ask about it, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. So let's divide a little bit in 3 or 4 parts. First of all, let's talk about the BVR engagements. How it would be in the game with BVR. So first things first, I think it would be better than what the US currently have. Yes, the M54 with the F-14B has more range, but overall having a more modern radar, the APG-63, right, at least, and also having more range and just more situational awareness than the F-16, it would mean that it is a more reliable radar than the AWG-9 and a better radar in the sense of range than the APG-66, which means that it's a better overall radar for doing BVR, right? But then we have the limitation. The limitation of American aircraft until the AIM-120 is added or something else is added, I don't know, maybe a later version of the Sparrow can fix that problem or not, I don't know. But one of the things that I really consider a very big drawback for the US is the Sparrow missile. Yes, the Sparrow missile is very good in the sense that maneuverability, energy-wise, everything like that. I still take a Sparrow over a Super 530D or other missiles like that any day of the week. It's a very good missile, right? But it's not really reliable because of 2 reasons. I mean, if an R-27 didn't exist, probably I wouldn't be saying this, but since the R-27 series of missiles have INS with data link, I would say that this is the big problem with it. First of all, that it doesn't have INS together with data link, so it means that it's a very unreliable missile. Once it loses the lock, shortly afterwards, even though you can in a very short period of time get a relock, it's very easy to just lose the lock and not be able to reacquire it, and the missile self-explodes. So that's the main problem. I think it's a missile that doesn't have this reliability that the R-27s have. But also the range, the seeker range, because it doesn't have a data link or INS with INS systems, this Sparrow is severely outranged by the R-27. There are some sources that even claim that the seeker head, it's contradicting, so I'm not gonna get too much into this, but there are even some sources that claim that the seeker head of the R-27 is actually worse than the Sparrow. But the thing is that with the INS, the inertial navigation system, together with the data link with the mothership, it can actually have a very good reliability, because if you lose the lock, you have a lot of time, because the INS is just flying the missile until you reacquire the lock. And also, with the data link, you basically have a way of increasing the range of it. So you can actually increase the range, not being just needing a very large seeker range head, right? So these 2 things make, even though the F-15 is way better, I think, in the radar department than the 2 of the main aircraft of the US, the Sparrow would still be a limitation. It would still be there, having that 40-45 kilometers of range, and if you lose a lock, the missile will basically just self-explode, which is a major drawback compared to the R-27 series, right? And also, another thing that I think it would be interesting to see is that the performance of the F-15 would be very good, it would be way better, I think, than the F-14 and the F-16, in the sense that it would climb better, it would accelerate better, making sure that the missile is in the right envelope to actually being fired. So that would help. So at the end of the day, in the BVR department, I think it would be like an F-16 that we have right now, but with better performance and a more situational awareness. So putting the aircraft in the right place to fire the missile and having just a more overall better look of the battlefield, still having the same limitation of the range of the Sparrow and the unreliability of the Sparrow just self-exploding, which means that it wouldn't be broken. So why not add it right now? So this is the first tick of the box. BVR, it needs, it's just basically the same from what we have right now, no major differences, which means that it could be added. So let's go for Dogfights. Dogfight is just another story, right? It's an aircraft that I think it has an amazing performance, it has amazing engines, and just overall the fuselage design is very good, right? Which means that it would be amazing at turning and amazing at dogfights. Does it mean that it's a 5th generation aircraft that can turn better than an F-22? No, it's on the same ballpark as a MiG-29, F-16, and even Su-27 when it's added. Even the F-14B if it has the time to actually open the wings and get to the right speed, right? So at the end of the day, it's in the same ballpark. Yes, certain aspects of it would be better than others and whatever, you know. It always comes down to the pilot in a normal battle to be the best pilot and beat the other one in a dogfight using the... I mean, it's really difficult to find a matching pilot for you in a normal match. So normally, if you use your aircraft to the most possible abilities that it can, you will probably get the kill. It's really hard when you see... It's just very rare to see a pilot that can actually outmatch you, you know, even if you are putting the max of it and use the tiny little bit of advantage, you know, that the other aircraft has in a certain situation, you know. So overall, if you learn how to use the F-15, I would say that it can beat everything, just in the same way that an F-16 can beat an F-15, depending on the pilot, the MiG-29 the same, the Su-27 the same. I think it's all come down to the pilot at the end of the day. The F-14 has probably a little bit more of a problem, just because it's a more sluggish aircraft, a bigger aircraft, and it has the swing wings, so if you are very fast, you need to take a little bit of time to actually open the wings and stuff. By the time you are actually into the dogfight, the F-15 might already be on your 6. So at the end of the day, I think it's alright, it's not going to be OP, and I think it should be added right now because it's in the same ballpark of performance as the other aircraft. And talking about performance, the third tick that we're going to talk about is the sheer performance of it. How OP would it be just in the numbers, right? So, well, it's going to be very similar to the MiG-29, to be honest. It's very much in the same kind of level of climb, so 330, 340 meters per second, around the same level of thrust to weight as the MiG-29 and the Su-27. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, depending on the situation, the Su-27 and the F-15 could have the same thrust weight of around 1.07 when fully loaded. The MiG-29 has 1.09, for example. A little bit, tiny bit better, doesn't change much, but still on the same ballpark of performance, right? Which means that, yes, the F-15 would be an aircraft that would already kind of have a counter. So, yeah, at the end of the day, let's go to the conclusion, the final part of the video. What it would look like. I mean, to be honest, guys, compared to what we have right now, let's forget about counters, let's forget about the Su-27 or anything like that. It can be added right now. I don't know about the variants, if they want to add an A variant with the MSIP upgrade, maybe a C variant with the MSIP or whatever is going to be added. The same problems that we already have in American aircraft will be presented in the F-15, which means this, what? Well, range in the BVR. It's the main problem that the Sparrow missile will be having until we get AIM-120s. And once we get AIM-120s, the other nations will have PL-12s, R-77s, all sorts of other missiles, the Mikas and whatever, you know? So it means that let's forget about the Fox 3s a little bit and talk about the addition right now. If the F-15 got added right now, how it would be. So in the BVR, as we said, it would be basically in the same level of the US right now, being better overall because of the performance and the radar and everything. But at the end of the day, the MiG-29, if he knows what he's doing, he still has a better missile. The R-27ER still outranges the Sparrow. So even though the MiG-29, it would be kind of the game, right? It would be one aircraft that has only 2 missiles, BVR missiles, but they are better missiles, and the other one that has 4 missiles, so more missiles, but a worse ranged missile. Also with a better radar, because the F-15 radar is better than the MiG-29 one, right? So at the end of the day, I think it would be a very cool, dynamic in the gameplay. Kind of from what we already have. It would still be an aircraft that is very much competitive, one of the best in the game, if not the best in the game, but there are some other aircraft that can still have the advantage. So nothing OP, to be honest. And that's why I think the F-15 could be added right now without a counter. The MiG-29 is already a counter to it. Oh no, but the Su-27 is the counter of the F-15. Man, this is like, it's not how real life works, okay guys? There isn't such a thing as a proper counter like this. There are some, like, of course, you know, little things that we need to consider. For example, the F-15 was technically the counter for the MiG-25, right? And the MiG-25 was technically the counter for the development of the Valkyrie. But the general way that I like to see things is that we have similar purposes for aircraft. You have some aircraft that represent the same level of performance and the same purpose to exist in their air force. That's more what we have. So yes, the MiG-29 could very well counter the F-15 without the addition of the Su-25, 7. I always confuse, oh my god. And especially I would say this because the Su-27 has something that the MiG-29 doesn't, which is 6 R-27 missiles together with 4 IR missiles. So not only it would have the same level of radar, but it would, of the F-15, the same level of dogfight performance, so basically, okay, square there. But then it would have more missiles, and the missiles are way better than the Sparrow, with, I mean, the R-27ER. So one might say that even the Su-27 would be too much for the F-15 because of the R-27ER, you know? Of course, it's a missile from, I mean, it entered in service almost when the M120s came along. You know, it's from 1987. It was shot at first, you know, way before that, but the first pictures of actual squadrons using the missiles in real mission combats were in 1987, okay, with the R-27ER. So it's a later missile than, of course, the Sparrow and even the normal R-27R. But, and there isn't much of a counter to it. I mean, maybe adding a new addition, a new type of Sparrow or something like that. But at the end of the day, in the BVR, the Russians will have the advantage. On the dogfights, everything, as I said, remember, everything is kind of depending on the pilot. But on the BVR department, which only depends on the systems, almost, right? And the usage on the systems, but let's just, you know, see the limitations of the systems that we are talking about. At the end of the day, the Russians will have the advantage the same way that they have right now. But the better if the addition of the Su-27 comes. So that's the main problem that I have with the F-15. The F-15 I think should be added right now. But will it be added without a counter? I really doubt it. Gaijin wouldn't do that, I think. It feels like. And they did, I mean, they just added the F-14B. So it would be alright to think that they add, if they add an F-15, it would come with a counter. And if the counter is the Su-27, the F-15 doesn't solve anything. It would still have the same troubles. So, but the thing is, at the end of the day, there is not much, as I said, there's not much that they can do. Unless they just jump to the M120 and R-77s of the life, I don't think we will have a balance on that regard. And another at the end of the day is that not everybody that flies a Russian aircraft use the missiles, the R-27ERs, to their full capabilities. I rarely see people firing from 50 kilometers. So it would be more of a, if you learn how to use it, you would probably stomp everything with the ER. But for the majority of the players, the F-15 would be fine and wouldn't suffer anything. So yeah, this is my opinion on the F-15. I think it should be added. I just don't know when and if it needs a counter or not. I don't think it needs, but let's wait and see, right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. Sorry for the big video, but I really wanted to talk about this for a little bit. And yeah, bye guys. See ya. Subscribe.